Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely day. Due to some technical issues with our cat, the chair that I usually do this video on is no longer available. So we're making do with this love seat that I had in the living room for the time being until we can either get a replacement chair and also teach the kitty that it's not okay to destroy the chair. We've tried scratching posts, we've tried toys, we've tried clipping their nails, but doesn't really work because Kitty sees the scratching post and he sees that it's next to my Vandersteen Model 3s and is like, why would I scratch a scratching post when I could scratch Lewis's multi-$1,000 speakers? Or his couch? Or him? Cat logic. Anyway, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reading an article from The Guardian that I think was pretty well written. This article is about Apple's IRP program, the Independent Repair Provider Program, the program that I was stupid enough 4 years ago to actually believe had some chance of being a decent program. I did a video titled, "Congratulations, Apple, for doing a good thing. Apple helps independents buy OEM parts," when they announced that they were going to come out with this program. And as I learned more and more details about the program, I eventually came out with this correction video. Apple's Independent Repair Program is a useless PR stunt, where I spend 16 minutes going through several people's issues with the program, and I tried my best to keep it anonymous because, as I've said many times, you're forced to sign a very restrictive NDA. Before you actually get let into the program, you're signing this very restrictive NDA, which will keep you from being able to discuss any of the details with the program, or again, you're going to face some serious financial and business consequences. So much of what you're going to read in this article is going to be anonymous because those people do not want their lives destroyed by Apple, and I completely understand. On to the article. It says, "We are losing money. Companies in Apple's repair program say they cannot compete with tech giant. Slow response times and high cost of parts make the program unusable," third-party repairers say. Companies in Apple's third-party repair program say delays in the process and high pricing for parts make it almost impossible to compete with the juggernaut. In 2021, under pressure from a Productivity Commission review on right to repair, they launched its Independent Repair Provider Program in Australia. It was trumpeted as a way for small companies to compete with Apple to repair their products, such as the iPhone, using Apple tools and spare parts. At the time, repairers said they felt the move was a token gesture designed to head off any potential right to repair legislation that would have been recommended by the Productivity Commission review. And that's exactly what this is. This program, in my opinion, is a farce, so that they can go to legislators and say, "Look, we're already doing it. We have a repair program. This is a solution in search of a problem," when in reality, the program is in many ways functionally useless for much of what it is that we do. 2 years later, some say their fears have been realized. A number of repairers Guardian Australia has spoken to in Australia and the US suggest Apple's slow response times and the high cost for replacement parts makes it almost impossible for them to be viable competitors. The repairers requested anonymity to speak about the program, fearing reprisals from California-based tech giant might prevent them from remaining in the program. Not just remaining in the program, but also having, again, a functioning business. If they break Apple's NDA, they are in deep, deep crap. And that's something that everybody has to understand here, because I understand that we have this thing nowadays. I understand why, where you read, anonymous sources have said, or somebody close to said, and you just roll your eyes going, yeah, who made that up? But in all seriousness, I did read you the NDA before I politely told them, screw off. And again, this is very, very clear here. If you read through the NDA, anybody who's giving away information on this program is they're in for a very, very bad time. Apple has indicated that it takes an average of 8 weeks for repairers to be admitted to the program, but repairers Guardian Australia has spoken to said the wait time can be up to 6 months, and that it feels like the applications sit in a black hole, without any point of contact with an Apple to provide an update on their status. Once repairers are admitted to the program, they receive training from Apple, as well as access to Apple parts, tools, repair manuals, and diagnostic software for the company's iPhones and Macs. Semi-true. You get access to certain parts. You get access to certain manuals. Do you get access to a $500 or $800 motherboard? Yes. Do you get access to the $5 charging chip that actually needs to be replaced? No. And even if they don't want to sell it, it makes total sense. Even if you're in the IRP program, if you knock on Texas Instruments or Intel's door and say, "Hey, I'd like to buy 10,000 of this chip," they'll say no. If you go to any one of the distributors and say you want to buy that chip, they'll say no, because you're not on the list. Do you get access to a stupid manual that says, "Here's how you open it"? Yes. Do you get access to a schematic so that you can actually fix a motherboard? No. Even if you get into this program, You are still going to be pirating schematics from VenaFix. You are still going to be asking random people on Skype if they could find you chips that they've been ripped off of other recycled motherboards. You are still going to be dealing with people that are smuggling recycled and thrown away parts in their pants out of a factory in China somewhere that were going to be thrown away so that you can fix things. And this is something that I mentioned in a post on Reddit that I will read later, because many people ask, why don't I just use this program? What am I complaining about? The program really limits what you have available. And that's one line that would have been great to have in this article. They say the price of the parts, as well as the process to get a discounted rate for replacement parts, makes it difficult for repairers to compete with Apple's own program. One repairer who says his business repairs between 30 and 40 Apple products every week says the average repair takes between an hour to an hour and a half. If they charge the rate Apple charges customers for repairs, its maximum margin is $60. After you take off labor and rent, what is left? We are losing money. Apple's independent repair portal works by either charging repairers a discounted price for the replacement part for an Apple product, provided the repairer has the faulty part with them and immediately sends it back to Apple, or by charging in full for the part and applying a credit for the discount to the repairer's account once the part is received at a later date. Okay, so that sentence is a little confusing. So the way this works is Apple will charge you the full price for a replacement part, which is typically an absolutely insane astronomical price where you will make no money off of any repairs that you do. The way that you get the credit is by sending the old part back. So if you're replacing a battery or a screen or a motherboard, Apple is going to want that part back. In order to get a price that even remotely allows you to be a viable business, you need to send the old one back. The problem here is that people want to stock up on those because we want to be able to offer customers instant service. We're not ordering one or two or three at a time. So if you're used to paying, let's say, $10 or $20 for a part, that's the market price, and you're paying $60 or $80, or if you're used to paying $300 for a part and now you're paying $800 or $900 for a part, you're essentially being penalized for stocking inventory. And this is something that should typically be rewarded. If you are stocking inventory, that means that you want your customers to be able to get instant service. One of the things that I used to advertise, if you go on archive.org and you look at my website from 10 years ago, we stock parts. You are not going to hear from us 99% of the time. I'm sorry, we need to order that for you. We have every chipset in stock. If you bring us a machine from 13 years ago, I have a PM6640 in stock for it. I have every single regulator for PP3B42 in stock for it. I can fix your motherboard even if it is 10 years old very often inside of 1 or 2 business days because the part is sitting in one of those drawers next to Patrick's desk because we keep stock of everything. That is how we offer good service. Now, it costs money to stock inventory, but when you have this type of system where they charge you an insane markup on the part until you send the old one back, what you're doing is you're penalizing people for choosing to stock parts, which means one of two things is true. Either A, they're not going to stock parts so that they can remain more financially viable, which means that the independent repairer will offer a worse service to their customers because they're going to have to order the part for that particular customer. Or B, they will stock parts, in which case they will have a horrible financial time expanding their business because they're putting way more money into the parts than they should because they have to wait a very long time to get the credits, which again, like, I'll just be honest with you, a business like mine, I don't have enough money to be able to do that. I would be screwed. I cannot afford to pay an insane markup on each individual part, knowing that some of these parts may be parts that I'm not going to use for 3 or 6 or 9 months. You really never know which repairs are going to be the popular ones. You just stock up on everything that you think you're going to need and then only get the credit so that the price is reasonable once you've used it. Nobody's going to use this program. And if they are, they're going to get massively financially punished for doing so. It's almost by design that it's set up in a way that is going to be financially damaging to whoever actually chooses to use it. Repairers often choose to stock up on products such as screens and batteries in advance so repairs can be turned around more quickly for customers. But they said the crediting process was slow. One repairer Guardian Australia spoke to said Apple has not processed about 80 credits since June. This article came out a few days ago. June. We're talking almost a year ago. And said the delay has made it less viable to order parts up front. He said it was difficult to ever speak to anyone at Apple. Is that a surprise? Is that a surprise to anybody here? The main problem with Apple is that they don't even give customer service, he said. They have a portal you can ask questions and a search prompt, and it will just take you to an article. Apple declined to comment on the record about the program. Of course, they have no problem commenting on the record to legislators about the program and how great it is and how you really don't need right to repair because we're already doing it. But then when asked to respond to actual criticism, crickets. It is understood that 150 repairers have been inducted into the program in Australia in the past 2 years. As Australia faces a cost of living crisis, the ability of people to repair their existing devices in a timely and affordable manner is crucial, the chief executive of the Australian Communication Consumer Action Network, Andrew Williams, said. If you can't repair your phone in an affordable way or your device in an affordable manner, then that's a serious impediment to being able to actually engage in so many services. Now the government and private entities are pushing so many services online. If you don't have a usable device, or if you break your device or your phone or your tablet and then you've got to spend $2,000 to get another one, that's a major issue. The Productivity Commission's report in October 2021 stopped short of recommending full right to repair legislation. Well, there you go. There you go. You don't get the right to complain anymore. I'm sorry. I'm tired of them saying, you know what, we can have a half measure, but it's so bad the way things are. It's so bad. Well, you know exactly what to do. Like, we wrote a draft bill of this in like 2012. You're welcome to just like take that piece of legislation that worked for the car industry and apply it to consumer electronics. It made a number of suggested changes to Australian consumer law to allow people to use devices long past their warranties. Williams said that the Australian Communications Consumer Action Network would support a legislative right to repair. The Commission's report was handed to the former Morrison government, which should not respond to its recommendations before the May 2022 election. Looks like Australian government is just as useless as ours. Oh, that puts a smile on my face. The Albanese government's Assistant Minister for Competition, Andrew Leigh, was approached for comment, and that is the end of the article. Again, something that I want people to understand when it comes to these programs is if there's anything you understand, it's that this program was not designed to actually be used by people like me. It was not designed for people like me to actually be productive. And I'd like to just read a comment that I made on a Reddit post that said that we are looking for magic dust. So there's one gentleman on Reddit that said that we are looking for magic dust. We're asking for magic dust. I said the following. Unfortunately, I can't figure out exactly what I was responding to because when I clicked this and I can't see the one above it, when I click view rest of comments, I see the entire thread, but I can't find what I actually responded to. And I don't know how much of this has to do with me taking too many painkillers after this wisdom tooth surgery and how much of it has to do with Reddit's interface, but let's find out. Anyway, you just have to trust me that I responded to somebody that said that I was asking for magic dust, because hell if I can actually find that post at this point. I said, we're not asking for magic dust. We would like the ability to buy parts and schematics and diagrams. Or if they don't want to make the part available, that's fine. Just stop telling Texas Instruments and Intersil that they're not allowed to sell chipsets to major distributors. This was the norm from the beginning of electronics manufacturing up until about 10 or 20 years ago when it stopped being the norm. I genuinely have no idea how anybody makes money on Apple's repair program. The primary reason that we avoid any and all of Apple's authorized and independent repair provider programs is because it is impossible to provide quality service to a customer with the limitations they place on these programs, much less actually compete. You cannot buy a $72 LCD cell. You have to buy an entire LCD assembly that includes hinges, webcam, and a case for over $400. You cannot buy the $5 ISL 9240 or CD3217 charging chip. You have to buy the $400 to $800 motherboard and give up on retrieving data from the old board if it is too far damaged for GSX to retrieve anything. A lot of people ask me why I do not get Apple certified or authorized to do repairs or use their independent repair provider program. And I give the same answer every time, because it does not give us access to any of the parts, schematics, diagrams, or chips necessary for me to be able to perform economically viable repairs for my customer. Because my business is based on fixing what is actually broken rather than replacing everything willy-nilly, these programs are useless to me. My customers demand and expect that I'll replace what is broken and nothing more, and that I'll retain their data on every repair. Anything else is a waste of their money and their time. This is a very difficult industry to succeed in while charging fair rates and paying fair wages as is. I'm not getting rich doing this for a living already. I can't imagine what it would be like if I had my hands tied behind my back via Apple's policies. I would have been bankrupt over 10 years ago. And that's the God's honest truth. And then you read stuff in this thread like, I've never seen a hand-soldered BGA cross-section I'd let go to production. Again, we're talking about a person that, yes, attention to detail is very important. That's why he can't even use an apostrophe and spell I'd right, but whatever. Like, honestly, when you read through some of the comments in these threads, like, am I allowed to say that I'm just kind of close to giving up? Like, I know you're always supposed to present a happy face. I get it. You're always supposed to seem really happy and excited to fight. Like, can I just honestly say that a lot of the responses I'm seeing from like the standard sources on Mac Rumors, everything else is just incredibly blackpilling to me. Like, it really does make me feel like, I was talking to a software developer recently that had produced a lot of really, really amazing software that millions and millions of people have used. And he was talking about the fact that there are certain software developers, and he can't exactly blame them, that after a certain period of time, they just develop a certain level of contempt for their users, because they will complain about everything, or they will hate you even when you're trying to do something that is helpful, or they will never want to pay for anything, or you'll offer something for free for 20 years, and the moment you put a paywall behind something that really took a lot of your time to develop, they will hate you. And I'll be honest with you, I'm starting to feel that way when I read this stuff. Like, the reason that we are advocating for what we're advocating for is so that we can help customers that would otherwise get screwed. We're not asking for all this stuff so that we can rip you off. We're asking for this stuff so that when you go to the Apple Store and they tell you that for no amount of money can they retrieve your data, we can retrieve your data for a few $100. We're doing this so that when Apple says a repair is going to be $1,500 and it's going to take a week and a half to 2 weeks because they have to mail it off to a depot, we will do it in 2 to 4 days for $300, and you'll get to keep all your data, and it's going to work great, and you're going to have a warranty and everything. We want to provide good service to people. We want people to be happy. We want people to have their stuff back. We want people to see the Apple logo on their phone or the fan spin in their laptop. Even if you have an M1 that doesn't have a fan, we'll put a fan in it for you. But all serious, we want people to sense that happiness when everything turns on and works, and they didn't pay as much as they were told they were going to pay. We want to help people that otherwise wouldn't have been helped. And the fact that it's this much of an uphill battle to be able to do a job that is in service to people that would otherwise be screwed, it's just incredibly blackpilling at this point. Like, it's the fact that it takes this long to get even the smallest bit of recognition for the things that we're trying to do. But more importantly, when we're saying, listen, we would like the tools to be able to help you so that you have a choice, so that you don't have to just buy another one or hand Apple $1,500 because you had a whoopsie where you had a drink next to your stuff. We would like to be able to save you 80%. We would like you to have your data back. We'd like you to have the option to do it yourself or to go to somebody that's not us. That there is this much resistance. And at the end of the day, the fact that it's harder now than it was even 10 or 15 years ago, because I mentioned this in a video I did recently. I mentioned this in a video that I did last month, where I was talking about the fact that many of the parts that used to be available when I started in this business, the parts that I built my empire on, being able to get and being able to replace for people, being able to buy LP133 WP1 TJAs back in the day, or LP133 WX1 TLA1s, or LTN154 BTO2s, and being able to charge people a fair rate to replace their screen and being able to make money doing that. That pretty much paid for all the board repair equipment, all the data recovery equipment, all the camera equipment that I have now so that I could do YouTube videos and show people how to fix their own boards and fix boards myself. All of that was paid for off of parts that I bought that the next generation coming into this industry will never be able to do because they're gone. Went over that here. The lower rungs in the economic ladder are gone, at least when it comes to my industry. The repairs that allowed me to build a base for myself no longer exist. It's sad. The point is, it's sad that there's less available now. Not because of technological advancement. Not because it's impossible to repair. Because you just can't buy it anymore. They've managed to win. They've managed to close us out from the entire supply chain. And I'm happy. I'm happy that I was able to do something over all these years. But it makes me sad for the people that are just getting started. That bottom rung in many ways is gone for them. And looking at programs like this, where again, they charge a very, very high price up front and you only get the money back after you send back the old part. I could have never started my business that way. Yeah, you have to pay this insanely inflated rate and then do that. Like I had $200 in my pocket. I was stocking 2 or 3 things at a time for one service. And then, when I finished those up, every time I sold one, I would use the money from the selling one to buy 2, and I just slowly over time expanded and grew very slowly, very sustainably, not with investor money or anything else, just slow, sustainable, making customers happy. Just seeing that people are like, well, why don't you just use IRP? Why don't you just use IRP? Wouldn't have been possible. Wouldn't have been able to build something with it. There's something incredibly depressing about like looking at a video that I made on this channel 10 years ago and realizing that there's less you can do now than then. Well, that's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.